All right, here we are. I got my rear shock removed, the one that was on there, the KKE that matches the KKE front forks that I've been talking to you about. Let me squeeze through here. This is my kitchen. I don't have a kitchen table, so this is my workshop. I have a really cool just setup in the house that I'm in, and I just do things like I do, like a boy does or a man. All right, so here we go. I've got, I took out my KKE rear shock, the one that replaces my Fast Ace shock that was way too soft. And actually it ended up breaking. I've mentioned that to y'all on videos. If you keep watching my videos, the rebound gave out and I guess a little bit of the compression. So it was basically like just riding on a spring. And that one is right here. So this is my Fast Ace that broke. And it looks nice. It looks perfect. It's a 450 pound spring. That's what it says on it. I mean, you couldn't tell this from a brand new one if it was shipped to you. It just needs to be repaired. And here's my Fast Ace KKE 2024 that matches my what they call the upgraded heavy duty high performance KKE forks about mid-year 2024. That's when I bought those. So this one replaced the broken Fast Ace. And so this one here does not have enough rebound. It really, when you go through the clickers, it's kind of hard to tell, you know, some of the settings, but basically I need more rebound. It's maxed out on the rebound and I'm still getting a lot of kickback and it's dangerous. Send me over the bars or out of control. So for general riding and, you know, someone's just going to ride this on the street and pop wheelies and just do stunts on the street and ride around and go 60 miles an hour and just rage around, you know, their city or their town, this would probably be just fine. And this one was $250 new, and it's got the 500-pound spring on it for me because I weigh 200 pounds, remember, and I'm 6 foot and I'm 54 years old. So this is a little bit heavier duty shock for my weight. Now we've got the newest shock that I bought to replace the KKE. And hopefully this is going to be more performance oriented, give me some more feedback. It's got high speed, low speed compression. There's two dials right here, one right here and the outer one that you can dial in. And then just like the other two shocks, the rebound is on the bottom. But hopefully it's got more rebound adjustment. And this is the Refloxa, is how I have heard it called correctly. R-F-I-O-X-A, Refloxa. Maybe that's it, Refloxa. Either way, you know what I'm talking about, but it's got a gray spring on it, and it seems to be about maybe a pound or two lighter weight than the Fast Ace and the KKE, but they are pretty much the same size. If I get too close, the light's going to go away from this light above, but here they are side by side. I mean, they look similar. All three shocks do not look like they came out of the same factory. They're all a little bit different in how they're laid out and just the general look of the tops. The bottoms are similar, different dials, but the tops are different. Just like this one is coming out the back, and the Fast Ace and the KKE have the dial on the top. So that's your main differences right there. Hope you're good. I have a still picture. A picture that I took with my cell phone with them three side by side. Okay, well that's it. I just wanted to bring this portion of this video to you. I've got my 72 volt battery that's supposed to be here today. It didn't come today. Hopefully it's not lost or damaged, but it'll come tomorrow. I'll put my 72 EBMX 72 volt battery, 42 amp hour. It's called their race battery. So I'll put that in and do all the rewiring because I've got to take out the factory wiring that goes to the factory battery and the factory little switch right there that you can turn off and on, which I kind of liked, but that's going away. I used it when I charged and taking the battery out. I could just turn it off, flip it on and off. But yeah, all that's going to get replaced and the battery's going to come out and just sit in the house. And the new battery is going to go, and you can't switch the batteries, run that battery, and then use your other one as a backup. So you're stuck with the 72 volt. But that's the way it goes. Also, too, while I've got you here in this video, if you've even hung on this long, which is not very long, I just wanted to bring this as as advice, when you pinch down your pinch bolts, usually, this would be better if this had 2 pinch bolts up here. This just has 1, but 2 would be better. And aftermarket clamps will likely, some of the higher grade shocks will have 2 pinch bolts up here and 2 pinch bolts, or 3 pinch bolts even, I see. I think that's going a little overboard, 3 for maybe a full-size motocross bike. But when you tighten these up, they don't need to be tightened very tight. If you tighten them really tight, you can end up kind of damaging your fork. And I have found on this one, when you tighten them just past that point of too tight, you can't control your dials. It kind of locks them up. So in theory, when you tighten those up, it compresses and crushes in on the shock. And then the internals don't work as well. So you do not want to tighten these down too much. I don't know. I don't have a torque spec to tell you. You just want to get them. You want to get them in. You want to get the fork set up to how you want it in the triple clamps, and then you want to tighten it to where it gets tight, and then you just want to go a little bit more. You don't want to do any more excessive than that, because I have just tightened them a little bit more. And I can't adjust my dials on either of the fork legs. And so when I loosen them up, then I can move my dials. So you can actually hurt or alter or make your shocks not work as well by cranking down on those. I think it's the lower ones that you can't crank down as much, because there's 2 of them. So you would just want to torque those equally, just tight. But then I think you can go a little bit tighter on the top. But I'm telling you, don't go super tight. You may even just see your fork tube slip up a little bit. Just keep an eye on it. And if you see it moving, then you need to tighten it down maybe a half a turn more. But that's just my advice to you and what's been passed down to me. 40 years racing motorcycles and motocross, and pro mechanics and pro suspension tuners online will tell you that too. For the ones that don't know, these are specific wrenches here, and I did not have these. So I had to order some of these in a kit, and it came, and I'm very, very happy with it. I've had these for my motocross bikes in the older days when they would come with the motocross bike and the little toolkit that came. What these are for is these are called spring adjustment tools, collars. Well, on Amazon, they're coil-over spring adjusters. That's what they look like. I'm going to take this one out so you can see it better without reflections. So here's what it is. And how this works is this little tool notch up here in the front fits into the grooved areas of the adjuster on your springs. What this does is this allows you to tighten. It's a wrench, a coil-over wrench, spring wrench, tensioner wrench, and it allows you to tighten or release the spring preload. So however you put that on, that way you can wrench it this way, and if you turn it around and then you insert it there, you can turn it this way. Why that is helpful is if you take a big metal rod, a piece of iron or steel, a rod, or a big heavy-duty screwdriver, and you use that with a hammer, and you hammer it around, you beat the snot out of all this, and you can come off that and hit your spring and chip off the pane, or you can come up and gouge your shock. It's very easy to do. So this is a very calculated and measured way to adjust the spring preload, and setting your spring preload is very, very valuable, because you need the right amount of suspension sag in the rear and the front. As you can see, I have attempted to use a screwdriver and a hammer and beat up my little collar right there, my spring tensioner collar, and I stopped because I didn't want to beat it up anymore. And so just a few whacks on that, and it really scars it up, takes the paint off, or the anodizing, just not good. And the extra pressure of beating on that with a big screwdriver, a steel metal end, and hammering that, is that you're putting a lot of stress on your joints, on the shock. It's just you're putting a lot of very, very harsh vibrations into the shock. I'm not saying that it's going to necessarily damage your shock, but I don't want to put any undue stress, big hammerings on the different parts of the shock. It's just better to do it, like I said, a very measured and calculated way with these wrenches. So I bought a kit, and it comes with different sizes, because I had no idea, looking at pictures, which wrench fit my shock application, because some of these can be used on full-size motocross bikes, on car shocks, anything that has an adjustable shock on it. Yeah. All right, I got my two batteries side by side. I'm going to weigh my two batteries. I'm always skeptical of reading different weights. I like to find them out myself and read it. This is my luggage scale. It goes up to, I think, 120 pounds, and it's fairly accurate. Weighed plenty of things in the past, but this is the stock Surron battery. Here's the EBMX 72 volt 42 amp hour battery. This is a 60 volt 32 amp if I'm not mistaken, but stock battery, new battery going in. This one feels about 20 pounds heavier. It feels considerably heavier, but we're going to go ahead and weigh them to find out for sure. In case it doesn't show up on video, 24 pounds, 45 ounces. 24 pounds, 45 ounces. Now we're going to weigh the bigger, heavier, newer, more powerful battery. £38 pounds, 55 ounces. 38 pounds, 55 ounces. There's your weight differences. And I'm glad that's over. Every bolt out of, say, 60 bolts, 58 of them didn't want to go back in to where they were just slightly off. And I basically took this bike down to the frame, other than taking the motor out. Everything came off. Of course, I had the rear shock off. I tried to remove the rear swing arm and take that off and hold it in my hands, but I didn't quite figure that out, as it wouldn't come off the frame and without really beating on it. So I just left that on there, but got my shock mounted now, and the battery is in. The 72 volt EBMX is in, 42 amp hour race battery, 32 total kilowatt max battery. And my controller is only telling me now, my KO Moto controller is saying I can go 12 kilowatts max, which is probably okay and good for me, because I'm not out in the desert or anywhere crazy like that where I can really use that power, or a big motocross track. But everything is in. But I wanted just to tell you, this is the brand new, latest and greatest battery from EBMX. I bought the Charged Cycle Works lid kit, to make it look better, more presentable, more factory. And this one is for the old battery, and they redeveloped this battery. It's totally, completely different, and different top and I guess size. So they sold me their 3D printed bracket that's supposed to fit flush right here, and it's supposed to fit. This one doesn't. Obviously, I called them. They're like, we're fully aware of that. We're having to work on that concept and prototype that, and get that out to you when we're done. They've only installed one of these batteries, is what it sounds like, because I called too, not to make the video too long, put the battery in, everything was wired. I turned the key on and nothing happened. I was like, worst nightmare. They were like, I figured in shipping, it was in a shipping mode, because when I pushed the power button, it gave me a warning display. It just says battery is sleeping. So I called them, and their techs, some of their techs were like, we don't know. There's only a couple of people here that know about this latest and greatest battery. He was like, transferred me over. They told me there's a little silver button here on the side, and a power button on the top. You got to hit the wake button on the side and then hold the power button down and hold it until it goes through its cycling little process, about 3 seconds, and then everything kicks on. So I did that and I was like, oh goodness gracious, it's on. The light was on, my throttle's working. Just nothing worse than going to all this trouble and putting it together than finding out something wasn't connected right or something is malfunctioning and you're having to chase electrical gremlins, and that is a night freaking mare. So thankfully I said a prayer before I turned the key and I was like, just make this work. Let's go this time, make it work, and it does. So everything is great. I'm going to go out and ride it and to take it really easy and just get used to it, because it's going to be probably double the power, almost triple the power. And while I have you, I think this may be interesting. This is my stock primary drive belt. It looks basically in really good condition. There's no cracks, no excessive wear. I would say I could reuse this, or I'm not going to, but because I put the Gates heavier duty belt on. And this looks actually really good. I would say that this is not in any way or shape or form, on the verge of failing or breaking. And I had this as 3 years old. So I don't have a problem with the belts, at least yet, until I guess you're running 32 kilowatts and you're snapping these, and then you go to a primary drive chain and a sprocket. But so far I've had zero issues with it. Of course, running the stock battery, that may be normal for most everybody, and I don't ride this in any really wet or dirty, muddy, soppy, muddy conditions. It does sometimes get wet, and I wash it, but everything looks good. Closing up the video, I took it outside. I can't ride it too aggressively because my lid is just flapping around, battery top. That's going to come down the road when they make a new one. But oh my gosh, it was so fast, so much top end. I just was riding, just out testing, nothing on, no helmet or anything, and just blipped the throttle and hit 65 just like that. I mean, and I had turned everything down. I'll show you the little bit of the parameter tuning that you can go in and custom tune per every 500 RPM, I think. Go in and arc that up and do a nice curve so you just don't have full power right from the get-go and just explodes out from under you. And you can tune that almost infinitely. And I'll again show you the little screenshot of that, but I won't show you. It goes up to like 9,000 RPM, from 500 to 9,000 RPM. But really impressive. I'm blown away. Obviously, everybody knows, or should know by now, larger batteries give you a lot more power, but it's just really telling when you experience it. It's hard to believe the difference. This thing just pulled, and I had the parameters turned down to make it rideable. And I can only put this up to 12 kilowatts, up to 400 something burst, or 200 or 400, I think I read, and you can turn that up. And field weakening, that's all the way turned up. There's so many things in the KO app that you can do, that you can tune to give you more power or reduce power, make it more rideable, make it unrideable. But that's my video. I'm really impressed. I mean, it's really more than I need, but it's fun to have. You need to put a big motocross tire on there with big knobbies to get traction anywhere, or a street tire, a pure street tire, slick tire. And that's just, whew, man, I am very happy. It'll be really complete when I get my new tray, my battery top in, and everything will be finished. Thanks for watching my video. I appreciate everyone that watches, and if you want to leave me a like, check back for more videos as I make them. Thank you. Bye-bye.